You're back. You're back. You're back. Oh, fuck it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do this. All right. Are you ready? Should I get? I mean, it's not really. Okay, I'll get out the way. I'll slide out. Let's do it. All right, here we go.
Hello.
So, okay. So imagine this guy who's now obviously older as a kid being directly responsible for not, I mean, obviously they were already kind of blaming this guy as Candyman, but imagine the mental effects that this has. Oh, Lydia, no. Ashley, how you doing? Like, yeah, that kid is him. So imagine the effect that has. Like, you screamed, you ultimately alerted the cops to where this guy was hiding and ultimately resulted in his death. So imagine how that fucks with your mind too. So I'm wondering if they're going to explore that with this guy, this character in the film. Now, the other thing is he brings up Helen Lyle, who was also a character in the first Candyman film. And fucking, he was like, she was the main focus for Candyman. Him, like her, and the baby, who is now Anthony, who was the guy that was taking the notes and shit. So I'm wondering how this is going to progress with the story. Is there going to be possibly is there going to be a actual hive of Candymen that take the form based on the story that you hear? Like, yo, Kenzie? You're back from vacation. Yo, good shit. How was vacation? Coming in with 10 packs, 10 Dixper crates. Holy fuck, man. So I'm very interested. But Lydia, don't go nowhere. Don't touch that dial. We're gonna look up this other Candyman clip. Where be the Discord? All right, let's do it. Is here? No, it's right here. It's right here. I'm not leaving. I'm so here. Yo, we got you. All right.
Candyman.
All right, so let me blow that up. Bring the browser back up. Let me. Yeah. Oh my God, Mitchell coming in with the lurk. Listen to them, the children of the night. What music they make. Thank you, Mitchell, for lurking in the shadows and watching from the dark. Yo, Mitchell, thank you so much for that. Oh, okay. So you see the guy with the hook in the mirror is the one that we saw from the other side based on the clothing and everything. So I'm very interested with how they are going to do this, because we know from the other trailers that it does happen. It does happen like a couple of times where he says Candyman in the mirror and he sees this version of Candyman. We know Tony Todd does make an appearance, so we do see that version of Candyman. We know from the casting list that they did recast Helen, so we know she makes an appearance. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I think there's only one Candyman. It's one entity taking the tragic stories of all of these people, because all of them have tragic stories. There's not one case of Candyman unless you go to the short story, which even then the Forbidden doesn't expand on who that Candyman actually is. It's not the Tony Todd version. It's a completely different version. Still hook for a hand, but you know nothing about them. And the only real difference in personality is that Candyman doesn't want people knowing about him in the short story, while this Candyman wants everyone to know, wants his story told, his story fucking expanded. So I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think it's one entity that is ultimately taking the forms of all of these tragic figures and is gaining power from the urban legend. Somehow, something like Freddy and Freddy versus Jason with the fear and everything. Like, he needs the fear in order to empower himself. I think this entity somehow fucking feeds off of the urban legend, the stories, and the fear, everything that comes with it, and the congregation. Because we heard Candyman refer to the people of Cabrini Green as his congregation a couple of times. So there may be even a religious aspect to this, to where people are worshiping Candyman. And it's like the church again, like Sweets to the Sweet and all of that is all culminating sort of like in this one like pot of fucking religious cultism. Are those characters dead, or do they think you think they'll show up and help the field? I think well, they're all dead. They're all dead. There's only one person that we know that referred to himself as Candyman that we did not see get killed, and that was in the first movie. Kind of that idea of if he kills anyone who knows about him, eventually he'll die out. He needs to spread the story so he can keep it. Yes, because that's honestly what he was doing in the first film. Like, when he first attacked Helen, killed this one person at Cabrini Green's dog, kidnapped her baby, who turns out to be this character. Ultimately, all right, let me get big. I'm like talking in the small screen. Like kills the baby. Oh, not kills the baby. Kills the dog, takes the baby, and was going to kill Helen and the baby, and is ultimately spreading the legend of Candyman. Now, what I mean about the person that didn't die, there is a part where Helen is investigating the whole Candyman story, and she gets led to a restroom area. Sort of like you see in the parks where they have like a little restroom facility that you could walk in. And there was supposedly a whole story where a kid got an appendage cut off with a hook. So Helen goes in and you see this guy come in with a couple other people, and he's wearing a leather, I think it was a leather trench coat. That he had on. Me and Viper watched it. It was like we were watching it in our Discord. And he referred to himself as Candyman. And he had not a hook for a hand, but he had like one of those like meat hooks. And they beat the shit out of Helen. They beat the shit out of her. And ultimately he ended up getting arrested, but he never got killed. So I'm thinking, like, do you have members of Candyman's congregation doing shit like that to sort of keep the mystery alive? Like where you got real life people taking the name of Candyman and doing things, and then you have the apparition, the phantom that's going around killing people in such a way that it now spawns more theories, because that person is already arrested, but then you have these other Candyman killings. Like, look at that there, like fucking where you got razor blades showing up in Candy, and they blame it on the one guy. They kill the one guy, and razor blades are still showing up in Candy. That could have been the apparition all along. But now, because of this guy's tragic story, Candyman could be taking his image and turning it into something different. Because it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that you get a guy that was so happily giving out candy to the neighborhood kids without a care in the world. Like, you see the smile in that clip without a care in the world, and that's after the knowledge of razor blades being found. Now, if they are separate entities all under the influence of the main Candyman, that could be a thing too. That can 100% be a thing. Because I mean, with Helen, the thing with Helen at the end of the film, which spoilers for anyone that has not seen it. No, Nick, no. Spoilers for anyone who has not seen Candyman. Helen dies. She does die at the end, saving the baby. Ultimately, her husband, who was cheating on her the whole time. Oh, teabags! Yo, we got you. Her husband, who was cheating on her the whole time, fucking feels grief for her, and ultimately decides to fucking say her name in the mirror. I know, Lydia. I know. You're new to horror, and I'm so sorry. But like, pretty much as we get into, because I mean, it's even kind of spoiled it in the trailer. Like, fucking, she came looking for Candyman. Oh, the clip. Helen came looking for Candyman, and she found him. So I mean, piece together what may have happened, but the end part is pretty much the tragedy has turned Helen into a spirit. Now the thing is, Helen has a hook at the end, which doesn't make sense because she never took the hook away from Candyman, which makes me think that this entity has an affinity for the hook. Now we also have to couple in the fact that Candyman lives within the same universe as Hellraiser. Maybe not cinematically, but literally, like the literature, it is within the same universe as Hellraiser. So there you have to kind of marry those concepts together. And when you start talking religious cultism, Hellraiser, like the Hellbound Heart, the Scarlet Gospels, the Hell Priest, the hooks, and everything. Yeah, yes. They are collectively, they are both literal works of Clive Barker, and they interconnect. There are characters that Clive Barker's much like Stephen King. Like, all of that shit is for the most part connected. You might have one or two off that are not connected, that he might write. But The Forbidden, which was written by Clive Barker, then you have the Hellbound Heart, which is written by Clive Barker, and Scarlet Gospels, Books of Blood, and shit like that. All of those are connected. You love cults? They're they're a blast. But yeah, like, yes, like fucking if you take all of that into consideration, there is a good possibility that Candyman may not even be who we think they are. If they are taking anything away from Clive Barker with the hooks and everything, what if Candyman? Okay, now this is a stretch. This is a really, like, we are stretching as much as we can. What if the apparition that we know as Candyman is actually a Cenobite? We know they can shapeshift. We know Candyman has an affinity for hooks, much like the Cenobites do. What if, and if we take into account what the original Candyman looks like, the artwork, what if Candyman is a Cenobite that escaped the Order of the Gash? What if that is a possibility? What if Candyman is actually the original Hell Priest before Pinhead took his fucking spot? There's a good possibility. Now, I don't want to Cenobite again. But yo, like think about it. Like, fucking, if Pinhead, when Pinhead came into the books, from what I understand, the Butterball Cenobite was the one that was the leader. Pinhead became the leader later on. And I know from summaries of the Scarlet Gospels, Pinhead becomes the Hell Priest and ultimately the ruling member of the Order of the Gash, and is looking for Lucifer and fights Lucifer in the Scarlet Gospels. So, and the Pinhead is fucking completely fucking different than what we know in the movies. Like, he's not as elegant, and that's done by design because Clive Barker hated the way Pinhead started to be depicted in the films. But what if there was a Hell Priest prior to even what if Butterball became no, that couldn't be, because fucking the timeline wouldn't make sense. Although maybe because Elliot Spencer got what? He got turned into Pinhead in World War One. So I would imagine it would probably be around that time frame that if Cenobite did leave, that it would probably be around then in that order. Granted, we don't know how many orders there are. There could be multiple orders. But what if there is one that fucking like left, went to Cabrini Green. Well, no, I mean Cabrini Green doesn't exist in the Forbidden, but fucking, or at least it didn't unless they somehow mixed together everything with the movies and everything. And like, what if this Cenobite escaped hell in the Order of the Gash? Because we know it's possible. Frank did it. Frank did it as not even a member of the Order, just a fucking sexual deviant that escaped hell. Like, so if he can do it, a Cenobite can most certainly do it. But what if we take that and ultimately this Cenobite decides to originally go to England and fucking just hide out, which makes sense because he wouldn't want anybody, which is why he wouldn't want anybody knowing about him outside of the people that live there, because they can kind of give him the fear, the power and everything. And the mutilations that is done in the Forbidden is very Hellraiser-esque. So what if that is done to keep this Cenobite at sufficient power, but also at the same time not fucking get so much attention on him that the rest of the Order finds out that he's there. There's a good possibility of that. Are we about to get into Hellraiser spoilers? No, because everything, if all this is happening, this would be prior to the events of Hellraiser. So like pretty much with the Order of the Gash and everything. Okay, so pretty much then we fast forward to Candyman, and possibly this Cenobite may feel some kind, because I mean, if it was a Hell Priest prior to Pinhead, what if they also have the ability to create other Cenobites? And that's where the Hive comes from. Because we know Pinhead has the ability to create other Cenobites. We know the Order of the Gash overall has the ability to create other Cenobites. And we know that the Cenobites also use objects like the Lament configuration in order to be summoned. Look at Candyman. Candyman potentially could be creating other Cenobites by their own methods. Because, I mean, they're not bound by reality. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And what if instead of the Lament configuration, it's just the reflection is what you use to summon? Like, the box Candyman opened it, that could be a possibility too. That could be a very good possibility. Like, I'm very interested in the overall theory, especially for those of you that are familiar both with Candyman and Hellraiser and knowing how Clive Barker is. If you guys have any thoughts on this, like, or am I just fucking going full on dark theories, conspiracy theorists with connecting Hellraiser to Candyman? Because also, think about it, we got a legendary skin coming for Pinhead. If this turns out to be even remotely fucking true, and fucking, can you fucking imagine? Can you imagine the legendary skin as Candyman? Can you fucking, I doubt it. I'm fairly certain it's going to be the Chatterer, but can you imagine if Candyman comes out and the Lament configuration pops up? Can you imagine? Like fucking the legendary skin turns out to be Candyman, and instead of the box, it's the mirror. I'm just cheering you on. I have no idea what's happening, but I'm into it. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you. Because I mean, look, we know Tony Todd is recording. We know Tony Todd is recording. So pretty much, imagine you find the mirror and you say Candyman in the mirror, or like you do the whole thing like they do with the box and everything, and instead of Pinhead's voice, like, you opened the box and I came, what is it, like fucking be my victim, or fucking, like, Tony Todd has so many fucking lines in there. Like you weren't content with the stories, so now I must shed innocent blood. Like, you know, shit like that. Like fucking, and we know Tony Todd's voice, I can guarantee to you, if they get actual Tony Todd's voice doing that, you're gonna see a lot more Candyman than Pinhead. Like, I can guarantee to you. I like the voice that they got for Pinhead, but it's not Doug. It's not Doug, which I'm very surprised. I am very fucking surprised. How do you get Candyman, Tony Todd, to come in and do voice work, but you can't get Doug Bradley? That is a shocker. Because I would imagine because I still got to look over the lore if they call him Pinhead in the game. I got to look over the lore of that. Because if they do, I have a feeling they did not talk to Clive Barker at all. And because Clive Barker hates that fucking name. He brings it up from what I remembered of the summary for the Scarlet Gospels. It gets brought up before, and Pinhead just eviscerates someone for calling him Pinhead. When you said "be my victim," my mind immediately went to a cheerleading cheer. Be my victim. Be my victim. Fucking Bertram, I'm dead. I fucking love it. If it was a Candyman skin, do you think they changed the power? Bees instead of chains? I think it would still be chains. I think it would ultimately still be chains. Because, I mean, imagine if the movie comes out in like a little less than a week. So if there is some kind of Easter egg, especially when they go into the chapel, because we know that's coming in this film. They are going to go into Candyman's chapel. If the Lament configuration shows up somewhere in there, then I think at that point, it to me is a confirmation that Candyman's a Cenobite. Candyman is a Cenobite all of this time, and that is why he is now so adamant about wanting his story told, is because after the events of Hellraisers happen, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the box has now showed up at Cabrini Green, and he feels no one is going to solve the box, so therefore he does not have to worry about the Cenobites, anybody coming there after him. So, like, yeah, I think that could be a possibility. Could you imagine if someone solves the box in Candyman? Could you imagine that's how Anthony defeats fucking Candyman? Could you fucking imagine that? And, like, we get a new Order of the Gash that comes there and takes Candyman back to hell? Could you fucking imagine? Oh, my. Because then what would happen if he created all of these other Cenobites to be under the Candyman guise? What would happen with that? Oh man, not the bees! Did someone say bees? Like what? Huh? What are we doing? I might have to drop money for a skin if they make a Candyman skin for the Cenobite if it involves bees. I wouldn't doubt that there'd be bees on the skin itself. Like if he has like his rib cage exposed and the bees are kind of flying out of the rib cage, and when he does his teleportation, it's not just him lighting up, it's the bees, like the swarm of bees and everything. I wouldn't imagine. I mean, I could imagine that. Oh my god. Yeah, like it's fucking crazy. I'd be very excited for something like this. All right. So now that I have talked your ear off about Candyman,